Whoops. I started it over. That's not what I was trying to do. All right. There we go. Hola. Adam, how you doing? All right. There we go. So, hey guys. Thanks for joining me. For that fast? Nice. Hanging in there? Yeah, dude. Hey, James. Yeah, I'm trying to hang in there myself. Actually, been a little stressed out. What's up, Aaron? Hendrick, welcome. Been a little stressed out lately, trying to get my cars done, and freaking. All right, so this is what happened. I have comp cams, shaft-mounted rocker arms on my car, and before with my old cam, I had like a couple thou of valve lash. Now with the lifters I have, you're supposed to have 0 lash to 10 thousandths preload, right? So you get this very, very narrow window of operation with them, and that's done so that you don't lose as much lift and duration in the lifter, right? When it's all rotating, the lifters, hydraulic lifters, they compress, and then the plunger area finds this like medium based on how well it pumps up and all kinds of stuff, right? But basically with those, you typically are like 40 to 80 thou of preload or something on lifters. That's quite a bit. And so with those, you measure with a push rod length checker, and then you add the amount of preload that you want to have. And so I lost my push rod length checker, and I was just way too busy, right, to buy another one, and that was an extreme error of mine. I should not have been that way, because now I've purchased like 2 or 3 sets of push rods that were all the wrong fucking lengths, right? And not only that, but I was so fucking stupid that I didn't measure the amount of lash that I had when I had the 2 short push rods on there, and so I just kind of guesstimated what it was going to be, and I guesstimated wrong. Well, obviously, right? Like, this is something that I have 10 thousandths range, you know, to get this right, and my dumb ass is just too much in a hurry to fucking do it. So I'm blowing like $800 plus on push rods, which is unnecessary if I just done it once and done it right. So this morning, or yesterday, day before yesterday, I took some measurements, did some math, said this is the size I need, and I ordered those things. I overnighted them. They didn't ship until yesterday because it was late the night before, and I woke up this morning in a cold sweat and realized I didn't do the fucking math right. I added instead of subtracted, and now my push rods are the wrong length again, right? I was like, motherfucker, god dang it. I was so upset that I screwed up and did the math wrong, but it was enough that I woke up and went, oh my god, I did it wrong. Like, oh shit. You know, because when you think of adding shims, you usually are thinking about increasing preload or reducing the clearance. But in this case, when I'm adding shims, I'm increasing the clearance. I went the wrong way. I freaking added 50 instead of pulling 50 off. And so now I got a push rod that's 50 thou too long, right? And, well, that's no good. That's not going to do me any good, right? So I'm like, holy shit, what am I going to do? So, amazing how our brains figure things out while we're... I know, right? Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, and unfortunately, sometimes it's when we're asleep, or sometimes it's because it just doesn't turn off, right? And then you wake up and you haven't actually been asleep. You know, you're just like in that middle zone, just, you know, freaking out. And so now I got the push rod that's too long. So now, that being said, this rocker set is... it was already shimmed, and so I was trying to get rid of the shims and run it flat. Now shimming it a little bit actually helps in the geometry of the rocker, but I didn't want to have shims there. I wanted to bring it down, but now I got the push rod that's too long. It showed up today, of course, right? And it's too long, and so I was like, fuck, I gotta shim it. So shave down the rods? No, definitely not. That'd be so bad. So I said screw it, and I drew up the base of the rockers in SolidWorks, and I am having shims made that go the full length of the rocker support shaft, And I have them made in 2 different thicknesses as well. It's actually not going to cost a lot of money. It's going to cost less for 2 dozen of these shims than I spent on 1 set of push rods. So, should have done this shit a long time ago. But now, on that side, I now have 2 dozen rocker shims, right? I don't need 2 dozen. I need 1 pair for my car, not 24 or 12 pairs. So, I'm going to have some shit for sale. I'm going to add some more stuff to the website because I'm not the only guy that's looking to shim their rockers. Sometimes when you get aftermarket rockers, like pedestal mounted ones, or I'm sorry, shaft mounted ones, you got to mount the shaft or shim it up and down. In fact, the ones I got from Comp Cams came with 40 thou and 80 thou shims, and I had the 80 thou shims on it, and those are too big for the push rod that I have now, and it also came with 40 thous. I put those in right now, so now I got 40 thous in there, and that's actually might be a tiny bit too small. So what I have being made are shims in 33 thou and 17 thou, right? So I'll be able to combine, thicknesses to get different heights as needed with these shims. And they're made out of steel, and they're getting laser cut, and so that'll be really cool. So I'm gonna add those to the site. That's pretty handy. But the 40 thous came in like right at it appears to be about 8 thou of preload, which technically is almost perfect. It's great. But I think I found my noise source on the old engine. I think one of these lifters is bad. It either is bad or just lost all its oil and is no longer pumped up anymore because it's springy. I push on it and it gives way more than the other lifters do. So either this lifter lost its pump, which is totally possible. It's been out of a motor. It was laying on its side. Oil falls out of it and stuff. Totally possible that it lost its pump. Or it's bad. But it's only one. None of the other ones have lost their pump, and they've all been stored pretty much the same way. So I think that potentially I have a bad lifter. Now, what really sucks about that is the fucking motor's together. And in an LS, the lifters are under the heads. So I have to potentially take the head off and swap out a lifter. Now, these are link barred, short travel, high performance. They're like the closest thing to a mechanical lifter you can get on a hydraulic lifter. And this keeps sliding down, it's pissing me off. Anyways, it's the closest thing to a mechanical lifter you can get and still have some lash control on them. And so you got to buy them in pairs because they're link bar. So that's going to suck. So, once you take the head off, right, 1 lifter or 8, it doesn't fucking matter. It's the same process, right? It's just more expensive now to replace 2 instead of 1, basically. So that part kind of sucks. But I'm excited to have these shims made. I'm excited to have them on the website. I'm excited for all of that. So that's really cool. Now, the title of today's video is Bring Me All The Standalones. And that's because I fucking love standalones. I'm not going to lie. As long as they're, something like Mega Squirt or better, there's a lot of standalones that leave a lot to be desired, right? The factory ECU has 800 tables in it, or something like that, right? And with that many tables, and those are just the tables that Cobb, for example, has found, right? There's still more tables in there. And that either they haven't bothered to decode, or they don't realize that they should be looking for them, or whatever. And yeah, almost. James says standalones equal endless possibilities. And is it James? I keep forgetting that. Been bringing your information videos for the past couple of years. I appreciate the time you put into those. Hey, thank you very much. Oh, binging, right on. Yeah, I appreciate you watching them. And I'm happy that you're able to, watch them and enjoy them. My phone's at a weird angle today because if I put it in the normal spot, it gets in the sunlight, and then it overheats and crashes and everything else, and that's not good for us, right? So, unfortunately, it is James. Right on, cool. Which is what I said. So, yeah, my brain still works. Unfortunately, you get the jowl angle. Make me look like I got a big old Jay Leno jaw or something. Yes. With the standalone, what I put into it is what I get out of it, and I really like that. And with with aftermarket or with the factory ECUs, even when you're reflashing them, if all the tables aren't identified, there are times you put stuff into it and you don't know what you're gonna get out of it. You might get something close. And with a lot of this stuff, like for example, the wall wedding tables, COB has them divided into groups, and they found the ones that affect the other ones that have them in groups, right? But they don't have necessarily very thorough explanations as to what makes each one happen. Uh-oh. Wow. Okay. I'm glad that we slowed down to 10 miles an hour on the freeway because the cop pulled over a truck with pallets. Wow. Totally necessary. But they don't have an explanation of like, well, this group is active at this time, this group is active at this time, because many of them are positive map delta. So do they all stack? Are they separated by things? Right, the information isn't always there. Whereas with a standalone, if I put a wall wedding table in, I can either set when I want to be active, or I know it's active all the time. So when I make that change, it's always going to be in effect, right? That's just a small example of the kind of things that happen. But I know that what I would put in is what I get out, and that's really nice, and that's cool. And also, I do a lot of things with standalones that other people don't do, and it makes the cars just fucking run better. I'm not going to lie to you. I get tunes from other people that show up, they're tuned by some other shop, and I open it up and I'm like, oh, that's very interesting. Wow. Or it's just done with the basic maps and tables, and while that's fine, most of them have the ability to add compensations for the things like fuel temp, for example, right? Fuel temp is an option for most standalones, and they don't always have that activated. A lot of tuners don't do it. That's one small example, but I will frequently put a fuel comp map, and when you have a more advanced standalone system, you can often put the axes what you want them to be. So I would do one that's say fuel temperature and fuel differential pressure. I put that on the same map, and then have that be a total trim based on those two things. Stuff like that you can do and get more stuff compensated for on one table, and just keep adding it as compensation. One of them, for example, Link, their G4 Plus doesn't have wall wedding, right? G4X has wall wedding. G4 Plus doesn't. And they have asynchronous and synchronous tip in enrichment, but they don't have any tip out enleanment per se. And so what I frequently do with a Link G4 or G4 Plus is I will put in my own tip out enleanment table, a 4 or 5D fuel table based on delta TPS on one axis and initial TPS on the other. And then what that does is that gives me an RPM adjusted tip out enleanment based on the speed at which you tip out, and then also when you initiate the tip out event. And that way you can prevent herky-jerky things in a parking lot by pulling out too much, at too light of a load or too low of an RPM, and also prevent something where you have a voltage flutter for your TPS while you're full throttle. Avoid having that pull fuel on you all of a sudden and run lean. Nobody wants that shit, right? And so I can do a full table on that, or I can do delta TPS and delta map and blend that in the same table, so that as the map changes greatly, it'll pull a little more fuel if the TPS changes a certain amount. Because that delta map is also very much related to the initial TPS that you were at when you initiated the lift, right? So I'll do something like that to give the car an enleanment strategy. And I won't go too crazy with it, right? Like the ideal wall wedding for tip in and tip out would be I can have the car at steady load. I can go floor, full lift, and air fuel would just stay in one spot until overfueling or overrun kicked in and it cut all the fuel out, right? So you would see I go all the way to the floor and all the way out, and AFR would be like boop, just a little wiggle, and like that's perfect wall wedding amount. That means you've completely compensated for the impact factor of the fuel on the ports, and you've perfectly compensated for the evaporation factor of the fuel off the ports in those situations, and you've done a good job. That's fucking perfect. Now, that's hard to do, and getting the tip in off a little bit, if you fail on the rich side, that's fine. If you're 14.7 and you tip in, it dips to 12.8 or 13.2 or something, you're totally fine. You're not going to cause any issues. You're not going to cause any misfires or hesitations. It's not going to, AFR is not going to cause any issues like that at all. But a tip out in leanment, where you're purposely pulling fuel, you got to be more careful, because if you pull fuel when either you don't want to, hesitation. If you're already stoic and you pull fuel, hesitation. If you're in boost and you pull fuel, lean, right? It's not good. But if you pull too much fuel in a normal transient, like I'm coming to somebody behind them and I'm letting off the throttle to match their speed, that's a delta TPS that might not be very high. But if I pull too much fuel out of it, the car runs in and hesitates as I try and slow down, and you can perceive that. So a lot of those standalones have no enleanment strategy because they don't want to induce any of those hesitations. But me, when I see my wideband in the corner of my eye dip to 10 or 11 when I lift, it just drives me fucking crazy. I start to twitch inside and like freak out. So I have to have some sort of enleanment strategy. That needle better not drop 3 fucking AFR numbers or I'm gonna be freaking out. And so I add my own in. That's just what I always do. And almost nobody does that. I love to do it. I love to fine tune and get things just right. Just like today, later on, I'm gonna make pizza dough. I'm gonna make pizza dough with sourdough yeast. I'm gonna make pizza dough with regular yeast. And I'm gonna make 2 pizzas of pizza dough, and I'm gonna stream that shit. Fuck it, right? I'm gonna stream it because I like to fine tune that stuff. And some of you might be interested in that. I don't fucking no idea. But I love making homemade pizza. My family used to own a pizza restaurant back in the 80s when I was a kid, and that was like awesome. We were like the only place that served sourdough crust pizza. It was really cool, and I kind of miss it, not gonna lie. That was also when video games were like, the arcade was at its peak. I'm down for pizza time with Dom. Sweet, yeah, I'll happily have you. When arcade games like at their peak, right when fucking Mario Brothers had been out for a while now, and the bigger games are coming in, Paperboy and what was that freaking off-road trucking? What's that dude's name? I can't remember now. All the off-road trucks and Gauntlet and Centipede and fucking all that shit. And then Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came out, and as the video games and the arcade were starting to get more and more popular, we had the biggest arcade in the area. We had a huge projector TV, right, in the 80s, big old like 14-foot by 8-foot screen. People come watch the football games. At our restaurant, we had an ice cream parlor attached to the side and a huge salad bar. Like, we had this big old pizza joint. It was a lot of fun, and it was totally cool. And honestly, though, it made me a pizza snob. So I enjoy making pizza from scratch because I like making good fucking pizzas. The thing is, though, is I just can't get the crust exactly how I want it. I'm still working at it. So today I'm making some small tweaks to the crust today and see how it comes out, and explain to you why I'm making those tweaks. Because cooking, believe it or not, there's a lot of science in cooking. People don't realize it. And a lot of science in cooking and the way things interact. It isn't just add heat, right, or whatever. Like the stuff you pick, like if I add salt, salt will inhibit yeast growth and production. Sugar will feed the yeast production, right? Oh, yes, Iron Man Stewart, that's right. Yeah. Tony Stewart. Who was Tony Stewart? I think it was Iron Man Stewart. It was one of those 2 Stewarts, right? But yeah, they're off-road with a boost button. You buy your boost and shit before the round and all that. Yeah, that game was a ton of fun. Yeah, so all that shit, right, was when I was a kid, and we had all that stuff at our arcade. Yeah. Anyway, so there's a lot of science in cooking. I'll use a heat gun, not on the pizza. But if I'm making like steaks or roasts, I use either a heat gun or a blowtorch. Dyno only. I don't do E-tunes on pizza. I mean, I'm going to do E-tune on your pizza. If you guys want to follow along. So if I'm cooking like a steak or a roast, I'll use a blowtorch or a heat gun. If I'm doing like a ham, a spiral ham during the glaze, I whip the heat gun out, and I hit the glaze with a heat gun and hit that ham at the edge, and the fat starts to pop and crackle and like separate. The layers start to separate, and kind of feathers the edges and stuff. Gives a really good look. And I do stupid nerdy shit. Wow, that's way overexposed. but I like to use some science and in my cooking. Anyways, so back to where I was, standalones. If you got a bug eye and it's on the standalone, I'll tune it. Now, don't fall out of your chairs. I know I said I'll tune a bug eye, but if you got a fucking standalone that shit, let's do it. I don't give a fuck, right? As long as you have ID injectors in it, I don't care what else you got in it. Standalone with IDs, we're good. I don't give a fuck with intake. I don't give a shit. You know, preferably not an OmniMap sensor because those things are still problematic, even not on the factory ECU. They're really noisy, you know. But any of that shit, I'll tune it. I love doing it, and we'll have a good time. Be prepared to do coils though if you got a bug eye. But I don't care if you got a Nissan, a ratted out 240 with a K turbo. I'll do that shit all day long. I love tuning standalones. I did a little Corolla with a beam swap in it. Damn it, you're really gonna make me buy a standalone? You should. Probably need to place my CW injectors. Yeah, you probably do. And that just isn't my preference either. That's the universe's preference. That's the tuning dimension speaking through my body, informing you that you have brand new, could not even install yet. Oh, the DWs? Like that. That's cool. You got 4 individual little paperweights. Oh, coils. Oh, brand new coils not installed yet. Right on. What kind of coils? Hopefully OEM. The OEM coils are really good, actually. They, you know, most of the cars that are running 8s and shit are still on factory coils. Just fresh ones. Yeah, good call. One of the things a lot of people don't actually know or realize is with their older GDs and stuff. I've said this before, but not everyone watches every one of my videos, so they might not hear this. Watch battery voltage. As you add fuel pumps, as you add injectors, as you add flow and horsepower, you use more current. And battery voltage often drops. And if you start experiencing misfires and issues with spark energy up top, more battery voltage. If I lost you, I apologize. My phone's still overheated. I thought if I plugged into the charger that it would help my battery drain, but since it was charging the battery as well, it was heating the phone up. So having it out of the sun was great until he's streaming what the charger plugged in was not. So now I'm holding it in front of my AC vent, trying to freeze this bitch out. I don't know why this is an issue. Only like every now and then it's an issue. Oh yeah, battery voltage. That's what I was saying. So often if you feel like, you know, I have no spark energy for this, I don't know why I'm blowing spark out. If it's not coils, it's often voltage. Check it out. Same with your fuel pumps. If you're like, my fuel pressure is dropping and I feel that I should have plenty of fuel pump for what I'm doing, check that battery voltage. That shit will, yeah, right? Battery voltage will get you. It'll reduce your fuel pump flow, it'll reduce your spark energy, and often a fix for that is a new alternator. I know Travis Cook and myself have both fixed cars that had issues with just getting a new alternator for it. A G alternator or one of the higher amp rated Forester alternators, something like that helps out. You can fix a lot of fuel and spark issues with battery voltage. So keep that in mind, you know, if you're ever in that situation. Oh boy, Mr. VW here in his little fucking blue car. He's just really, yeah, alright. AGM batteries. Yeah, so I would avoid AGM. I would go with the lithiums. The big reason being that AGMs are actually not compatible with our cars. Our charging system does not charge AGMs correctly. I can't tell you how many freaking AGMs I personally have gone through, and because battery voltage drops a little bit and our alternators overcharge the shit out of it. So AGMs are not good. Optimas, I have Man, I blow up Optimus all the time. And I had one on the dyno the other day blow up too. Same reason. They get just a little low, and our alternators are like, "Oh, you need voltage. Here you go!" And they just fucking jam a bunch of current into the battery, and the AGMs can't handle it, and they fucking blow up. So our charging system is not compatible with AGMs. BMWs come AGM from the factory, and they have very complicated charging algorithms where they even compensate for battery life or battery age as they go on, battery capacity. They're monitoring how they charge that battery to make sure that it actually lasts and doesn't pull an Optima on you. Those Optimus fucking fail all the time. We call them Craptimus. So yeah, don't AGM. Odysseys, PC 680, whatever. I have footballed about 3 of those, and they're the right color. At least they used to be that orangey brown color. I've multiple times opened my trunk and oh look, there's a football back there, and it's a PC 680 swelled up, like just looks like a football. So yeah, no AGMs in the Subaru's charging system unless you install some sort of charge manager on it. You will not have a good time in the long term. If you drive the car every day, and never leave your lights on and that kind of stuff, it doesn't discharge far enough for it to become an issue for you. But if your car sits for a few days at a time and you have like an alarm that will kill the battery in a week or whatever, don't do it. Don't do it. You will spend so much money. Trust me, I've spent so much money. Oh my God, on batteries. Even as it is, my car eats lead acid batteries fucking every year. I go through an Interstate or a Surefire or whatever. I go through one a year. It just is like nom batteries because I don't drive the car enough, and the battery goes down, then heat or cold hits it when it's full of water instead of only acid, fails, right? Maybe you don't know. Like, so when a battery discharges, right, you have sulfuric acid, H2SO4, you have lead, and you have lead oxide. One plate is lead, one plate is lead oxide. They call it sponge lead, right? Yeah, done. So the battery reaction turns the lead into lead sulfate, and the acid into water, right? Because you have the hydrogen sulfate H2SO4, and then the SO4 moves over to the lead, and then the hydrogen binds with oxygen from the O2, the PbO2, and then you have water. So if I have water in a discharged battery, and then it gets really cold outside, water, when it freezes, it expands, puts pressure between the plates, and you can break plates. And that's often what happens in the winter. You leave a car sitting a long time, battery just discharged, and then all of a sudden it gets a freeze, the water breaks plates, you're down a cell. The same thing can happen in the other direction too. It gets discharged in the heat, you boil it off, and you start to corrode stuff on the internals. You got water in there, right? Things can happen in the battery that are not ideal when it experiences extreme temperatures in either direction, and you have a lot of water in it. So it's my car just eats batteries, man. So if you're wondering how batteries fail in the winter or in the cold, that's how discharges. You get water freezes, takes a shit. That's just how it goes. And then if you have a discharge battery that gets hot and you boil off the water, now you have a deficiency, right? There isn't enough hydrogen and oxygen in that battery anymore to return the battery to its original components, lead oxide, and sulfuric acid. You can no longer return it completely in one direction, so you've lost capacity permanently until you add water. So some batteries will have service caps where you can look down and check in and add water as necessary, because you shouldn't lose any of the sulfates, which you do though sometimes, right? You see batteries with the sulfate buildup around the terminals. Sometimes that's because the gas comes out from the cap, because they're vented, comes out of the cap and can help aid in process, or stuff in the atmosphere reacts to the lead on the terminals. But you usually don't lose sulfates out of the battery. You're usually just losing hydrogen and oxygen. And in a fast charge or a fast discharge, usually fast charge, you will get air bubbles. If there's a lot of current going through a battery that has water in it, you'll get electrolysis of water, and you will separate the hydrogen and oxygen in the battery, and those bubbles will leave the vents, and so you'll lose water that way too. So faster charging is the quickest way to lose total water volume. You have a discharged battery and you blast it with current. Well, that battery's loaded with water, and you perform electrolysis on that water, and you eject hydrogen and oxygen out the top, and now your battery is at a reduced capacity because it has low water. So that's why if you're going to charge a battery that's really discharged, you should always start really slow. A very slow charge, minimize total current through the battery, minimize the voltage difference between the plates, minimize how much electrolysis happens and how much hydrogen and oxygen you lose out the top. But our cars don't do that. The supercharging system does not do that. It says, I have alternator, I have amps, electrons away, and it just jams electrons into your battery, and it fucking, you lose water, you lose hydrogen and oxygen via electrolysis from the water, and you lose capacity. AGMs on their hand, they are not friendly to that. They have a just slightly different chemical process. I don't know it by heart, so I'm not going to bother trying telling you, but I can tell you that when that current hits it in its discharge state, they do not handle it well, and you will eat batteries like crazy. And those of you who have Optimas in cars that sometimes sit, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because you have eaten plenty of Optimas in your day. Yeah, John, I go through an Optima Red Top a year. Abso-fucking-lutely. Aaron, batteries have been the bane of my WRX ownership. Absolutely, right? Those things are because batteries don't like rapid recharges, and our systems and our Subarus have rapid recharges. They would do way better if they had some sort of battery charging logic in them, but they don't. They don't. So we eat batteries like crazy. And then James said, battery tender. Absolutely. I mean, if you park your car in an area where it's easy for you to plug it in, you know, have a battery tender hooked up, permanently installed, potentially, would be great, and you just plug it in and you're good at doing that, then more fucking power to you. Absolutely, that's a great way of maintaining, it's a good way of maintaining your battery over the years. Killed 3 yellow tops, Aaron says. Absolutely. I'm telling you, man, all that stuff, all the time. But yeah, lithium batteries are good. Lithium batteries will take a fast charging rate. They have extreme capacity. They're good. They're fucking money though. There's a lot of bread going out. You're tossing a lot of Benjis at a fucking lithium battery. I think like $700 for a really good one. Yeah, maybe design a battery charging logic for the Subaru that works with the Subaru. Could probably do that. That's possible. I could write some logic for that. I have the ability. I couldn't program it to a chip. I don't have that ability, but I can do logics and write, you know, codes for that. Or an algorithm, not codes, an algorithm. Okay, so now I am at the anodizer. I go to Inland Northwest Plating, and I'm sorry, Inland Empire Plating, and they do the anodizing for my fittings. I love this place. These guys are really old school, and I dig that because I have old school roots, right? And so as such, I'm not gonna walk in there streaming live on YouTube while I hand the guy cash and pick up my boxes. It's just not gonna happen. I already pulled up in a BMW, so I'm sure Greg has lost a little bit of respect for me already. I like to maintain as much as I can with the guy because the guy's really cool and I like him. But I don't want to end the stream either. So I'm just gonna set you down. But this is quick. It literally, I run in, I grab my box, I hand him $250, and I come back out and I put them in my trunk. So, right? Or the people you're with, exactly. So if you're still here when I get back, I appreciate it. It's only gonna be like literally a couple minutes. I'm not even gonna turn the car off. And yeah, and then we can talk some more about that stuff, standalones and all that shit. I would love to talk more about it because I love tuning. I love tuning standalones even more. I tolerate factory ECUs, and I like some features in them, especially the GRs, the newer ECUs got a lot of features, but I fucking love standalones. So, be right back. All right. 11 people? You guys rock. All right. Got my fittings. That's sweet. My stepmom's in town with my dad. They're visiting. My dad and I are working on the Corvettes, mostly his. And my stepmom likes to work stuff and help out, paint and do home improvement stuff, and we've been doing a lot of home improvement stuff. But she likes to build kits. So between her and Teresa, I got 2 kit builders, and they are both extremely helpful, help me keep up with demand. And right now I'm way behind because COVID, you know, but that's the excuse everyone uses, right? Is COVID, but it's because parts are just hard to get a hold of sometimes, whether it's because COVID or whatever reason it is. Wow. Call the blinker, you old twat. You should use it. Oh, it turns out you did use it, just your front blinker's blown out. Nice. It's called maintenance. You should try it. Yeah, it absolutely is free labor. And shit, my dad will come out and he bought me 2 floor jacks. So I'm net positive on the deal. You know, on top of that. Yeah, I should tell her blinker doesn't work. I should. I'm not gonna. Hey, oldie locks. The blinkers don't work. All right. Sorry, the initial driving point, you know, you gotta get into traffic. You can't stare at my phone while I'm driving. That'd be very irresponsible of me. Be like, hey guys, what's up? Sitting at a stoplight, you watch the chick next to you drift. Blinker shame from BMW driver. Yeah, I use my blinker all the fucking time. I also stop for pedestrians. I know that's pretty crazy, right? Yeah, so when this car is turned in after my lease is up, the blinkers will have seen the most use that they'll ever receive. Probably all of the use that they'll receive. They might even be near the end of their useful life. I mean, 20-something thousand miles of blinker use. Woo! That's a long time for B&B blinkers. At least they're LEDs, right? The bulbs might still be okay. But the circuitry might not know how to work. The planned obsolescence, the circuitry will fail. Just like your cell phone. They'll be like, oh, Apple released another phone, blinker stopped working. BMW released another freaking car, your blinker stopped working. Alright, so I'm going to backtrack a little bit. LS Rocker shims will be available on the website in a week or so in 2 different thicknesses. Now buy a Mustang and avoid all crowds. Break every stereotype. Yeah. I could do that. No, I can't do that. I tried. I fucking tried. Did I tell you that story already? I tried to buy a Mustang. You know, Paul Yaw from Jet Dynamics. He's been an inspiration of mine for many years. And I've learned a lot from him. And he actually helped me realize how much I didn't know and was the catalyst for a huge surge in learning and understanding. Thanks to him, I realized how much I didn't know, and I set myself back to school. You know, I was getting comfortable with my knowledge for a couple of years. I think only a couple of years, and then I realized, yeah, I don't know as much as I think I do. I need to go to school some more. So he has a few Mustangs, and he's a very critical person. You know, he gathers crazy and he analyzes that data and he draws some very accurate conclusions, some of them opinionated, but based on a lot of facts. And he's got a few Mustangs. I'm like, well, if Paul can like Mustangs, why can't I like Mustangs? Right? I mean, like, this guy is very critical, and apparently if these Mustangs make him happy and he enjoys them, then I'm missing something. Right? I'm missing something. It's got to be that. I'm fucking missing something. And so I tried to buy a Mustang. And I went and I sat in it and I looked around and I was like, nope, nope, nope. I just fucking got right out and said, thanks for your fucking time. And I split. Like, I couldn't do it. I could not fucking do it. The interior was about the same as my 96 Escort. And it was a 2010, you know, Mustang with the same green monochromatic, you know, display and shit that my 96 Escort had. And I was like, what the fuck are you doing, Ford? That is retarded. Nobody wants to have that old 80s and 90s green glowing LCD hue to all of their fucking gauges and their gauge cluster. Who the fuck wants that in a 2010? So yeah, I fucking sat in that thing, looked around and said, nope, got the fuck out. I couldn't do it. I just could not do it. But I tried. I mean, I tried to own a Mustang. What's going on over there? I'll tell you what's going on. I'm hanging a fucking U-turn here in a second. Right here. I fucked up, went the wrong way. I mean, I say it the wrong way, but what I really did is I went the right way to hang an illegal U-turn in a spot where there was a cop sitting, so I did not hang said illegal U-turn. I really wanted to. There was a fucking dump truck loaded with rocks and shit getting on the on-ramp, and he was going really slow, and I didn't want to be behind him on the entire on-ramp. But because I went long, I'm still behind him. But I don't have to be behind him because now I'm not on the on-ramp anymore. Yay! Nostalgia is a powerful thing. Yeah, I mean, if what you want is green shit, then I guess that's good for you, but 96 Escort, as good as that car was to me, I don't want it again, and I don't want to think about it. That thing went through like 2 transmissions and 3 motors. Luckily I had an extended warranty that I got to use over and over and over again. Yeah, I don't want that again. Every Ford that I've owned so far has been told a piece of shit, actually. The Escort, piece of shit. I had an Escape, piece of shit. I had a truck for a short period of time, piece of shit. So, I mean, I've tried to like the brand, and I keep trying to give them an opportunity. I actually went to the dealership after Teresa's BMW was totaled, and that RV hit her head on while she was sitting in a fucking red Arrow. I went and looked at some Edges, an Edge ST, and a few other Fords, like the Explorer, the new Explorer. I think it's pretty sweet, you know, looking, and all of that. But I couldn't bring myself to buy one. My friends were pissed. Holy shit! Some friends came over and they saw the quote, you know, that you get from the salesman with the terms of a purchase on it, down payment, all the payments. They saw a Ford and they were flipping out. I shouldn't have done that on the day I had a party, because it was on the table. What the fuck is this? Everyone's mad at me. You fucking hypocrite! You know, it's just gonna be so much shit. I almost lost all my respect for you. They did not like the fact that I had a fucking Ford, you know, thing on the coffee table there. That I'd spent time looking at them. I don't blame them. Yeah, Chase and Tanner and everybody. Even my wife was like, "Are you feeling okay?" She gave me an extra long back rub that day because she was afraid I was going crazy. Wow, this is Washington for you. I hate Washington. Traffic. Left lane, right lane, same speed. It don't matter. Everyone just parks on the freeway, roadblocks everywhere you go. Any comments I need to answer while I'm waiting? 280Z stock L28 on Mega Squirt coming. Oh yeah. Coming up. Any advice on a good startup with niche timing on this car? I'm actually tuning a 280Z on Mega Squirt in a few days. Actually, I started tuning one. It was a few weeks to a month ago, I guess, and his fuel pressure was dropping like a rock. And I looked at the car and identified a few potential reasons for the fuel pressure drop Also identified a few of the things that he could improve on the car. And I just got an email from him yesterday saying that he fixed the fuel pressure drop with some wiring upgrades, and added the idle air control motor because it didn't have one, and a few other things that I had asked him to do if he wanted the car to be really good. So it's come back on the 23rd, I think 23rd, Tuesday, I think. And it's also on Megasquirt. And I don't like Megasquirt that much. It is lacking in so many ways, so many compensations. It's slowly getting better, but I mean, it's practically open source, for standalones. And it's all right. But, I've done so many of them. The airplanes I used to do, like all of the Subaru airplanes that I did, were all Megasquirt until the very, very end. I started putting hydras in them. Yeah, that was a mistake. But started putting hydras in them. So I tuned a lot of fucking Megasquirt. Also, the helicopter I tuned was Megasquirt. A bunch of gyroplanes were Megasquirt, and factory ECU. And of course, I also did a bunch of Subaru airplanes on factory ECU as well. But that is fucking dangerous as shit, especially when it's a drive-by-wire car. That's just plain stupid, in my opinion. Because you get fucking limp mode on a factory ECU when you're in an airplane. That's fucking fall out of the sky mode, man. That's initiate, glide, slope, and had 2 Megasquirt ECUs in there, and you could swap between them on the fly, much like you would do in an airplane where you could change magnetos, turn one on and off, that kind of thing. Similar to that, there were still a couple things that were obviously it could do better, but it'd be fine. Recommend a standalone for a bug eye. That popped up like a minute ago, so don't think the stream is that far lagged. I just was talking in the middle of something. So yes, I've tuned a boat, but you can't tune a fish. For a bug eye, best one for the bug eye, in my opinion, would be the Link G4X. Next would be Link G4 Plus. And the reason I say those is because first, they offer a plug-in solution. The WRX Link 7 to 9 is for version 7 to 9 WRXs, therefore it meets all of the plug-in requirements of the USDM ones. And it is an amazing piece, especially in the X version, and Plus even, but X better than Plus. And my car was on a version 7 to 9 Link for a long, long time. And then put it on a I do after that. I think Adaptronic after the Link. I think that's what I did. I think if I did order of operations on that car, it was factory ECU, and then a piggyback with split second FTC1 controller, then a piggyback conditioner controller from MSD or somebody, and then Hydra, and then I think Link was the next one after that, and then another Link, and then Adaptronic, and then another Link, and then a Vipec, and now an M-Tron that I can't get to fucking work. I don't know if I got a bad M-Tron or if my wiring just fucked up or what, but I cannot get that thing to work. It's driving me crazy. Built a brand new harness and the fucking thing, it won't see a cam signal no matter what I do. I don't know why. Luckily I have 2 M-Trons, so if I can't get it to work today or tomorrow after some more attempts of double checking, or by this point fucking quadruple checking or more of the wiring, then I'm gonna put the other M-Tron in it and give it a shot and see which is the fucking hardware issue. But anyways, so WRX Link 7 to 9 is what I highly recommend for a bug eye. That red bug eye with my cams in it and the G30, right? That bug eye is running one of my old Links, actually, one that was in my RS. He's running a Link, and that thing runs fucking stellar. So yeah, I definitely recommend the Links 7 to 9 for a bug eye. I mean, you could do other stuff like a Haltech, but the Haltech is more expensive and requires an adapter harness and some other shit. Unless they finally added a plug-and-play harness for the Haltech, which I doubt. Side-by-side or ATV? Yes. I've even done a single cylinder fucking 400cc Honda ATV. At what point do you think of bringing a GD standalone makes sense? Oh, that's my 82 mile an hour warning. Good thing I'm in a construction zone. That's a toughie, right? I mean, it depends on what you want to do. If you're looking to do things that the factory ECU can't do, well then it's time. Doesn't matter what turbo it is, you know. Oh, it's 215 right now, so it's time, apparently, to do the ECU right now. I don't know. I guess that's really up to the owner. Like, people can do a lot of horsepower on big stuff. I mean, on the factory stuff, you can do it, but you just run into these little issues, and it gets to a point where the end user, the owner, is not, he's not happy driving this car anymore because there's just these little fucking things that the car does because you're at the limits of what the factory ECU can handle. And when you've reached that point, it's time. Plain and simple, it's time. And so it just depends on what you want to get out of it. You know, if you want a boost built-in launch control on a GD, you're kind of fucked unless you're adding in wiring to like open the intake air temp circuit, have the timing retard dramatically to build a lot of boost. On a GR, there's tables available. You can do timing by gear and set some thresholds up inside of it, and then have it, you know, pull timing when you're on the line in first gear. You can do that kind of shit. But the GD doesn't have that. And so if you're looking for something that builds a lot of boost out of the hole, you know, like Junior said he can get one of his cars, leave the line at 60 PSI. Don't know why you'd want to do that. I don't think there's enough grip for that. But if he can and he does, that's fucking badass. My car, on the factory ECU, I had it leaving on a 6466 at 17 PSI. And that's a lot of fucking power, you know, to leave the line with. And I did that on the factory ECU. But if it was a GD, not happening. But because it was a VA, it has the same logic as a GR essentially, then able to do it. So it's up to you. If there's features that you want that it doesn't do well, then the time has come. You know, with standalones, you can put trim switches in. You can use rotary knobs and that vary the voltage to the ECU and tell the ECU which maps to activate. You can kind of do that with the factory ECU by using Cobb's flex fuel logic. You can set, because Cobb's flex fuel logic is based on ethanol percentage, and which is just based off of 0 to 5. So if you don't need flex fuel in itself, the ability to modulate your fueling based on ethanol, and you want just different maps, then you can use a rotary switch to activate steps in that logic. And then using the blending ratios that Cobb has between the A and the B tables, which are the 0 ethanol and 100% ethanol maps, using the blending ratios, you can set plateaus in that. Instead of a linear line or a curve, you can set plateaus so that when you put the switch in a certain position, it will blend between those two maps. Now again, those are just blending points, but you're creating hard blending points between two maps, and you can do that and give yourself some room to do things like that, which is cool. But if you want to do like a nitrous map and flex fuel and some other stuff, there just isn't enough inputs and logic in the factory ECU to do that, even with Cobb's cool stuff, right? Unless you were to, what else could you do? Oh, I guess you could use potentially the fuel pressure differential, lie to it, and set the differential a certain way so that it's had 2 or 3 steps in fuel based on voltage to tell it's a different pressure, and then try and do some other thing like that. That'd be complicated though, because the differential changes with boost, so you might have some different difficulties in that. But there are ways that you can hack certain sensor inputs and make the ECU do things. But like, you gotta add wiring, you gotta figure out this logic in your head or on paper, you gotta do all these things to get these, I want flex fuel control things, you know, at your leisure. You know, you can add an optical comparator circuit that looks at the paint color on the car and have it adjust your fucking tune based on what color your car is. I mean, you can do whatever the fuck you want with a standalone. You can do it with Chase's car. He's got that wrap that changes color. Put one at an angle, and then as the sun moves down the sky and the car turns to a bronze, it picks up fucking 30 horse if you want. Like, you can do shit with a standalone that you can never do that on a factory ECU. So, I don't know. When's the right time? When is it not enough for you? That's what it boils down to, you know? For me, and my cars, it's slightly after the time I purchased the car. Obviously not from a BMW here, right? I'm not buying a standalone for that. I think I want to scroll. Here it goes. Oh, I missed a lot of stuff. Haltech for an 06. Haltech's good. I like Haltech. Why is the 20 considered to be much more sensitive to bad tunes just than the EJ? I don't think the 20 is more sensitive to bad tunes than the EJ. I don't think so at all, actually. I don't think anything is more sensitive than an EJ to a bad tune. I don't agree with that at all. The FA has such an aggressive knock control strategy, and it's so much more knock tolerant than the fucking EJ. I mean, it's so much more knock tolerant than an EJ. The only weakness on the FA is just that it runs like ass frequently because of the sensitivity of the knock control system. And then if you over rev it, you can bend a a connecting rod, spit a rocker arm, or break a valve spring and toast the motor. But as far as bad tuning is concerned, I don't think the FA20 is more sensitive at all. I don't think that's actually really a thing. It can do so much. Now, can you lose power easily? Sure, but failure, EJ fails way easier than FA does all day long. Haltech, I was gonna say, I saw that already. That's a good system. I like the Haltechs. Twin scroll. That's just my guess with the having twin scroll. Twin scroll is, well, so there's an issue with the factory header. The factory header, they welded one spot really aggressively on the FA20, and one of the feeds to the turbo is significantly smaller than the other one. So I think it's the back bank. One of the banks of cylinders has way more back pressure than the other one. So an aftermarket header for an FA is a wonderful addition at any time in FA ownership, because the factory one, they went super aggressive with this. What you see, this bead that comes through, and I swear to you, it's probably 80 thou or more smaller diameter than the other bank, and that's significant, you know. So yeah, FA is kind of a weird thing. It's got fucking ports. They totally screwed the ports up from the FA20 and the BRZ. It's got shitty cams. They're way too small. It's got just the shit injection system. The DIT only injection system on that car is fucking garbage. It needs the port injection bad. It's just, they really fucked up the FA20 compared to the BRZ FA20. But hold on. I gotta catch that light. I'm doing 90 on an off ramp, you know, whatever. Ah, oh, that pussy stopped. It's green. It's green. Go. I almost ran into the guy the other day. Stopped at a fucking green light. He was turning right even. He was turning right, and it was green. And just as he was about to enter the intersection, it turned yellow. And he just laid on the brakes. And I'm going straight. I'm trying to get through the fucking yellow, right? And he just stops all of a sudden. I was like, what? I had to fucking swerve around his ass and blast through the intersection on the yellow. And he's like glaring at me like it was my fault that he stopped at a fucking green light, practically, idiot. Yeah, it was good. I made the light though. Yay! Luckily, there's no one coming the other direction. It was left turn lane there, so I went through left turn lane. But anyways, let's see what else we got. They don't give those away. Oh, the links? Links are cheap, dude. Links are like one of the cheaper standalones out there. You can get a Link G4 for like 14-ish, somewhere around there, 13 to 16. You're still going on an AFR controller, so if you get the X, I think the X has onboard Lambda. You can just plug a sensor into it. I know the standalone X's, like the wiring ones, like the Fury and the Extreme and all those have onboard lambda. You just plug the lambda right into the fucking thing, and that's awesome. I love that. I don't know if the plug-in boards have the onboard lambda or not. If they do, that's awesome. I haven't looked into the X on the board. I got word the other day that water, air, top mount, and tanks are being cut. Nice. I look forward to seeing the end result on that. Here it comes. Retracted message. My old 35 with AM launched at 30. I assume you mean launched, but yeah, of course. I mean, you were standalone, right? It's not a factory ECU. SI drive can control more tables. I mean, SI drive, you can use that to control boost and throttle, and I mean, technically TGVs if you wanted it to. And then using requested torque and the results of boost and throttle, it inherently has an effect on your timing maps because you have an end result based on timing. So you can have parts of the map that aren't even active or impossible to get to without being in a different mode. So technically you have the ability to make your SI drive do stuff to timing. Not the exact same load cell, but in a whole nother block, you can expand the map, the timing table, to use cells with SI drive that you would normally use. Yeah, there's a lot of things like that you could do. But yeah, overall, like, standalone's way better. Thanks for the answer. Heard that 4 times here and there. I was interested in the reasoning. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know why people would say that. I mean, I know power-wise, those things, I mean, 1 degree on an FA yields a much different power output than 1 degree on an EJ. You know, peak torque on an FA on pump gas, you're usually at -1 to +1 degree of timing, somewhere in there at peak torque, right? So it's very little ignition advance in the first place. And if you add half a degree on that, you're going to induce knock, you know, typically. And at around 5,800, you might be around 5 to 8 degrees. Again, this is shitty pump gas, depends on what you're doing. You know, timing, and that's it, right? And often at 5, they'll still fucking knock. So there's just a lot of sensitivity to ignition advance on an engine, and the power output varies greatly based on ignition advance on the engine. Just dramatic differences in ignition advance. Tell us more about Paul Yaw. Or how? Okay. So we'll start off with the biggest thing. Fuck pump gas FAs. Travis, 100% correct. That is the biggest thing that we can cover here today. I should end the stream now. I just like finishes right there. No, so Paul Yaw. So I don't know. Not everyone knows Paul Yaw. Paul Yaw is the guy that started Injector Dynamics, and he started Injector Dynamics because it was like, these fuel injector options on the market suck, you know, and it shouldn't be that hard to make a good fuel injector. And he was like, I don't think it's that hard. Or he would get injectors that they would show up with the same part number, and they would you'd have one misfiring at idle on a cylinder. He's like, what the fuck? And move an injector, and it was the injector. And he was like, this is bullshit. Like, there should be more accurate testing and match of injectors, and just better fucking injectors. And that's obviously a synopsis, you know, or my interpretation of what he had said before. And so he created the machines that they use there to test the injectors all the way into their low pulse region, all the way, you know, from there all the way to the top. Now, where he helped me out was in explaining the injector operation, right? Because before Paul, I thought what most fucking people still think to this day is that it's just an orifice that I'm opening and closing to give me fuel. That ain't fucking right at all. I learned that ain't fucking true at all. There was way more to an injector than some orifice that you open and close. Way more. And so I was under the same assumption, like I said, like a lot of people were, you just open and close the orifice, fucking fuel squirts in, we're good to go. And yeah, that wasn't the case at all. And so when he got into the intricacies of the injector, I started understanding how that related to what I knew about electrical stuff, motors, solenoids, valves, all that. Because some don't know, I used to run nuclear reactor plants in the Navy. I was on subs, and I taught a lot as well. So I taught for 5 years, and I did operations of reactor power plants. And so in your training, they teach you a ton about valves, how different types of valves flow, their characteristics, their performance traits, that kind of stuff. And so when he got into the injector stuff, I was like, oh, holy shit. That's a lot like a pop-up valve in this regard, but it's also like this kind of valve in this regard, and it's also got this feature. And so like I started to understand more about injectors, and then I realized there's a lot more to this, you know. And then he mentioned how the spray pattern affected wall wetting, and I was thinking about that, and I was like, I don't know a lot about wall wetting at this time. This is like 2009, I think, or 8. I don't know a lot about wall wetting at the time. I wasn't really as knowledgeable on fuel film dynamics at the time, and so I started really looking into that, and it was him talking about the injector stuff, and then just how the injector affected various parts of engine operation, that I went, holy shit, like there's more to this. And what was really good about it was that it got me to realize, and it actually made me more excited about engines, because it showed that so much of it was based on very specific things that you can calculate, that you can derive, you know, that you can do, and it was a lot less guesswork than I thought it was. You know, I didn't realize that there was so much that you could actually calculate, and so many things that we had already learned about it. You know, I felt like the engines were still a lot of guesswork. I'm going to blow some air and fuel in there and explode it and see what happens, right? And it became to a point where I realized you can anticipate what's going to happen if you understand how the engine operates. If you understand the geometry of the engine, if you understand how valve events affect things, if you understand how swirl and tumble affect things, as you start to understand those things, you can now anticipate how an engine will respond, instead of going, this should work, I think, right? And so before, I was in that whole make it go boom, let's make some power, right? And it was just fucking wrong. So I was able to really just, they just exploded. Like really, the ignorant is you don't know what to look for, right? Like you don't know what to look for. You don't know what to search, because the really smart guys, they're not dumbing it down to simple phrases that you would search on the internet for, right? You got to look hard for some of the really advanced stuff. And that's one reason why I do what I do in my channel, is because I'm trying to make that advanced stuff more every day, and easier to understand, you know, and easier to find the answers to, by putting these terms in layman's terms, by taking these operational characteristics and giving you these analogies to help you understand how that works. That's why I do the channel in the first place, because those things really just blew up my level of knowledge. And so on my Discord channel, like I've talked about 100 times, we go into like ignition advance and cam timing and that kind of stuff, and it's specific things, you know, like the event happens here and this causes the air to do this. It isn't like, hey, if you advance you get more torque, if you retard you get more power. That's our lesson for today. Thank you for stopping by, right? It isn't like that. We talk about expansion coupling. We talk about exhaust blowdown. We talk about overlap. We talk about reversion. Talk about port flow, right? Things like that. So we talk about that in the channel, and welcome other input from people that are experienced, or definitely questions, people that have questions, because if I don't know the answer, I want to look it up. um, and sometimes I don't mind being wrong, because that gives me opportunity to learn more, but also to find more stuff and maybe connect more dots and things that I didn't realize were connected. So then I can pass knowledge on to you guys as well. So if you're not in it and you really want to learn about tuning and stuff, please check out my website, go to the shop area where you buy stuff, and in there, I think it's under utility and electronics and something else. I have it in a bunch of categories. There's Dom's Discord server subscription that you can purchase. Don't buy it. Click the link in the description, come to the Discord server, talk to us a little bit, and then if you decide you want to buy it, buy it. When you buy the subscription, it sends me an email telling me that someone did it. Make sure you include your screen name in your purchase in your comments, so I can go into your screen name and then unlock the student section. Because all you're going to see is about this educational. You're not going to see what lessons are available. So when you unlock it, then you'll get access to the educational section, and you'll be able to go through. Right now, we're working on 3 modules now. The first module is Cam Time. The second module is Nation Advance. The third module, which I started, but my parents came out, so I've been really busy doing that stuff, is turbodynamics, talking about turbo systems, boost control systems, how turbos work, compressor maps, turbine maps, things like that. Right now, it's mostly just links to videos that I've done that have covered these subjects already, but I will add in more material after my parents leave. And then we'll go deeper into discussions about how turbos work, and then after I put more data in that lesson module, then I will unlock it for comments. Right now you can view it, but you can't comment in it if you're a student. If you're not a student, you can't see any of it. But in the non-student sections, there's still a section where we talk a lot about tuning stuff. And I do that just so that the non-students come in and ask some basic questions, but the questions get too in-depth, then I will direct it to this educational section and that kind of stuff, because I want the people that are paying for education to get the education and have somewhere to look for it. If it's just in general, then I don't want them to go to the general section and have to find where was this discussion about whatever it was. I don't want that to happen. I want people to go to the module on that discussion. So Paul's influence was a while ago. Have you ever, oopsie, I'm trying to, there we go. It won't let me scroll. Oh, there it goes. A while ago, have you ever watched the High Performance Academy videos? Really dry and overly professional presentation, but good and dense info. Change fuel rods and fuel lines. Keep the oil regular, and will the car run okay without an updated tune? Rails and lines, yeah, you're fine. If you change injectors, it's a whole other story. Yes, High Performance Academy. I have taken a few of their courses. I took their CAN class. Because I want to learn more about CAN bus stuff. I found it very helpful. But the guy that does it, I hate the way he talks. The guy that does the CAN class, his mouth opens so much with every word, and his tongue sticks out so much as he's talking, it drives me fucking crazy. So I tend to not look at him while he's talking during the video. I just can't stand the way he talks. But he's smart and he has good knowledge, and it was very helpful. I wish there were things he would have covered in more detail. I made a comment about it, actually, and I haven't checked any updates on the CAN module in a few months. It's not the accent. It's not the accent. In his case, it's not the accent. It is the way he talks. It's just the way his mouth moves when he talks. That's what I can't stand. He sounds fine. His accent's fine. I dig the Kiwi accent. I dig the Australian accent. I dig, that stuff. It's no big deal. I dig accents. I can't understand most of them. My brain doesn't recognize shit. It's not what he says or how he says it audibly. It's how he says it physically, the way his mouth moves. Like some people that don't move their lips and their mouth moves really funny, or they talk out of the corner of their mouth all the time. People that talk out of the corner of their fucking mouth, like I can't handle that. And I do it sometimes too, not on purpose, but sometimes people do that. It just drives, I don't know if it's a symmetry thing or what. I go fucking crazy. And the way he talks, the way his mouth moves when he talks, drives me crazy. And I can't fucking handle it. I did the diesel tuning class. on it. I wanted a refresher on diesel because I've been super rusty on diesel for a long time, and I wanted to do see if they cared more modern stuff on diesels, and they did, and so I did the diesel class, and that was really cool. I enjoyed that one a lot. Um, the basics was done by Andre. I dig Andre the most. I enjoy his lectures the most, his mannerisms, the way he talks, and then the advanced diesel class was done by Nick from Duramax Tuner, right? And his stuff was good, but I missed Andre. I wish Andre was doing the class. Again, a mannerisms thing. I feel like Andre is a better teacher than Nick. And I realize it's not even back and forth, right? It's just like a presentation. Like at least here, live streams, I can go back and forth and I can answer your questions and all of that. I just don't feel like Nick was as good of a teacher as Andre is, but it was still a good class. I liked it, and I think that's all I purchased. They're expensive, way expensive. Like for what people do with like my Discord server, in the end, when it's in its established state and there's more lessons and more modules, there's going to be more data there that you pay, $50 a year for than there is in one of those modules that you paid $250 for a couple hours of videos. Like, I feel like their classes are just too fucking expensive. Honestly, I feel like they're overpriced. But the data was good. I haven't done any of their other classes because they're so expensive, and I already know so much about tuning cars and standalones and that kind of stuff. I have a feeling that I would feel just ripped off because I wouldn't actually learn much from it. That being said, I might, like I did EFI 101. I only did that like a handful of years ago, but I went to that because I was going to be an instructor for EFI University. Ben and I had talked about me being on the instructor list, and so he said to do that, I got to go take it. And so I went and I took it, and I learned two things at that class, and that was great. I love learning stuff, right? But the rest of it was review. Now I didn't feel cheated in that at all because it's still a good class, and if you're a beginner, it's a great class. It's not nearly advanced enough, I would say, at all to put you in a position to tune your own cars at all. It is a very basics. I mean, it's a 101. It is very basics and fundamentals. So I don't go to 101 thinking you're a fucking tuner because you're not even close at that point. That popped up and went away again. It goes too fast. But if things are highly produced, they feel like they can charge a premium. Yeah. Have laptop will tune, right, Travis? IR tuner, have laptop will tune. I mean, but they do have good production, way fucking better than mine, and I would love to be able to improve the production of my videos, the ones that I do, and the uploads versus the live streams. I would love to be able to improve the production of the uploads, but that shit takes fucking time, and I'm developing parts, and I'm putting together parts, and I'm putting together cars, and I'm tuning cars, and I'm still trying to keep the family happy, and I'm trying to keep income coming in. So, and then hang out with my friends occasionally, trying to maintain friendships, and play some fucking video games every now and then, right? I want to play some fucking games. I want to have a good time too, and some alone time or some relaxing time. And I just don't have the time to do the full video productions like I did a while ago. Things have gotten too big. I have so many parts in the works. I can't even keep up with the orders I have already, with the cams and the strut tops and cooling mods and the oil cooler thing I'm working on, the power steering thing I'm working on forever. I've been working on those two things for freaking ever, and they're still, happening, but slowly. I do a little bit every now and then. I get on a roll and I start doing a bunch of stuff and get some revisions done. Right now I'm working on a dry sump system that's really fucking cool, by the way. And working on a dry sump system. I'm working on a head chamber program. I'm doing a special chamber that I have pretty much mapped out already, I just haven't put it in a test jig yet and cut the heads yet and make sure that it's going to work right. And so there's all these things that I'm doing at once, and honestly, it's too many. And I have 10 cars, 10 cars, 10 or 11 cars, right? And so I always have projects. I always have stuff going on. So it's getting too thin, and I'm trying to get a little more streamlined and better at it for sure. It's definitely hard, but I just don't have the time to put into fancy production of the videos, and I really wish I could. I really wish I could. It might be time to hire somebody, but I have a hard time partnering with people because I have trust issues from previous partnerships, and I just, yeah. So, anyways, that's enough of that babbling about that shit. I'm pushing the button phone. Please tell me that you love me still. There we go. Let's see. See, look at this. All these messages came in without me knowing. Hit the plus key over and over. Right, well, that's the only way to make power, right? Just plus, 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 plus. We love the Ronson videos. At least I do. I mean, the live streams are always going to be like this, right? And what I mean by production quality is the screen caps, right? Being able to screen capture stuff, do some overlays, you know, that show the point I'm trying to make. You know, like even Andre, like he has his laptop screen shows up in the middle of his discussions, like that kind of stuff. And I definitely want to be able to do that and have better graphics instead of me taking my hand and going, so things like this, and it goes up and down a couple times, right? I want to have a graphic that shows, you know, the rod moving and the piston moving and all that kind of stuff. I'm glad you do these because I can get those the old Dom from HIC days, raw and direct, yeah. Well, my early videos were actually more edited than my current ones. Well, the live streams, obviously, like I said. The upload ones, I went from just a whiteboard in my lap, and then and then I went to OBS. I started recording on OBS with, you know, certain screen captures and pictures, and you can still see those videos on my channel. Like my fuel system video, and my Maxwell Boltzmann distribution video, a lot of things like that. A better camera, well, I mean, it's a cell phone, right? Like, I mean, the picture quality is good, but is it really, you know, is it a camera? I mean, not really. I'm not sure if it's a phone that takes pictures or if it's a camera that makes phone calls. It's one of them. I don't know. All the phone manufacturers want you to think it's a camera that also makes phone calls. Yeah, OBS is great, and I use OBS a lot. But the preparation time is there, right? If I have a scene, and I have a Stream Deck too, right? Which I use in those. I have a Stream Deck. I have 3 main scenes that I have loaded on it already that I use on most of the videos, and then like a 4th or 5th will be special, where, you know, my face is a certain spot on the screen, and then it's either going to be a browser cap or a program capture, or you know, picture overlays or whatever, and I have those already set up in the Stream Deck, and so that reduces a lot of the time needed for a single video. But that first setup, though, it takes a while, and then with these other videos, obviously I got to get my pictures ready, try the pictures in the folder, make sure they're in the right order, and then go through all that stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of preparation time on it for sure. And I suppose if I did it slightly less seamlessly, I could just click a button with my mouse and open the picture I want during the lecture and stuff, instead of having to do it, you know, the next like PowerPoint presentation or something, you know. And I can do that too. I have a PowerPoint presentation. I can capture the PowerPoint presentation, like my old tuning. The way you took it, Travis, right? Remember the tuning lecture? I had the PowerPoint and the stuff, right? I could do a video with that, and the screen cap is PowerPoint, and I can go through it that way too. I can do that. So I don't know. We'll see. The phone is just a rarely used app for most people. Yeah, it's usually, well, for me, the most used app is my text messenger, you know, so just Messages by Google. Messages is the most used app for me, but for other people it's Facebook or Instagram or, you know, whatever. But I don't do any of that on my phone. Let's see. Well, my camera system showed up, Travis, so I need help with my fucking server. I still need a server. I have a button here that allows me to put the user in timeout, Travis. So maybe I'll just put you in timeout for not freaking having my server like you're supposed to use. Just kidding. I would never put you in timeout. Drawing tablet. I have one, and I've done it in my videos. I'll use like OneNote and draw stuff with the tablet, or also draw on top of them. You can do the screen draw thing too. So I have one. It works really good, and I really like it. I used it a lot when I was in college, which was just a few years ago. I used it a lot in college, and that was really good too. So I have one. It works really good. Home assistant. I don't want all that shit. I don't want too much stuff. I don't want a whole bunch of home automation. I don't want that. I want like security stuff and maybe some media stuff, but not usually, because we don't have a lot of time to sit and watch shit. Like Therese and I will shoot home from work. I'll be finishing up whatever I'm doing, whether it's SolidWorks or a car or a tune. We'll come home, make fucking dinner, watch something while dinner's happening, and then do whatever. So I'm getting a bunch of text messages, and I'm home now, so I gotta work on the vets. I got the push rods in my car that I think are gonna be okay. At least to start it. We'll find out if I have 7 misfires or not. So yeah, I gotta finish the stream here real quick. So let me see any other questions I can handle. Gotta go. See you next time. See you, James. Have a good one. What kind of server? Just a home thing. Store video data from my cameras, and then I'd like to have a common place for some files. That's really it. Like my computer, my main computer at home, I got like 2.8 terabytes of SSD space. It's like all SSD space. And I feel like my primary SSD is starting to take a shit. I had it for a long, long time, and I want to get something where I can back up data, because as you may not all know, but my friends know, I have terrible electronics karma. My computer karma is just unbelievably bad. My aura is anti microelectronics, I think, because shit just goes bad on it all the time. I get more blue screens, I get more phone lockups, I get more lost emails and encrypted files and bad signals and shit than anyone I know, and more than anyone that I know knows, and more than anyone that they know knows. That's how bad it is. It's fucking terrible. I'll show you this. That plane is so much closer on my phone. There's the runway right there. So we live on final for the Coeur d'Alene airport here, and it's fucking awesome. I love the planes flying over. The big private jets flying over are okay, whatever. Private jets are all right, but the small private planes like that little fucker, that thing was cool. I don't know what it was. I didn't get a good look at it, but a lot of the small prop planes are really cool, and I really dig living here. I just sat here, on my deck, which is non-existent because loan prices are through the fucking roof. But I was supposed to build a deck this spring, but then, $40, $48. It's $48 for one 16-foot, 1x5.5 seater deck board. $48 for one fucking board. 116. So my deck is presently made of grass, because that is what it's going to be if wood is going to be that fucking price. I am not going to spend that. It just isn't going to happen. I am not going to support that bullshit. They say there's lumber shortage. There ain't no fucking lumber shortage. They are full of shit. There is more lumber at the mills here, local mills, than I've ever seen in 20-something years of being in this area. Like, never seen that kind of lumber here. It's all bullshit. And so these motherfuckers need to stop charging for that much for wood. And it's going to go down. They've already started to stifle the economy by doing it. Home building and stuff dropped 9% last month. And the market turned around for the first time in forever, and a lot of it's because they got too greedy with these fucking prices. So eventually I'll have a deck, but right now it's made of grass. But I like to sit on my deck and watch the planes and look at the scenery. I planted these trees. That bucket is there because we were digging out a planter area, but the ground here is all rocks. And if you look really closely at the ground, I don't know if I can zoom in on YouTube or not. There we go. See those big ass rocks? Those are fucking boulders. Those came out of the ground right there. Apparently, I decided to put a planter in an area that was solid fucking rock. I had the rototiller, and the rototiller spent more time in the air than it did in contact with the ground because it would hit a fucking rock and shoot itself in the sky. And that's only like 5 feet, and there's probably 150 to 200 something pounds worth of rock and boulders sitting right there. It was not the best call, but it's gonna look really nice when I get the fucking flowers planted there, right? Well, not me and the wife's gonna do that. But anyways, I just want to show you guys the airplane. I love living here. Here's another one. This guy's climbing a lot faster though. He's going slow, but he's climbing faster. Dang, 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 dang. Here he is. He's just floating. Must be VX. VX, V is the velocity, and X is the most vertical height gained over the distance traveled, and VY is just the most efficient climb. That's the best way of describing it, I would say. NAS? I don't know what NAS is, but I'm definitely willing to learn. Can't explain this from grass, right? I know, but you know, I'm fucking allergic as shit to grass, so it sucks. When I mow the lawn, and you know, I mow about 2.5 to 3 acres worth. When I got the lawnmower, I gotta wear like protective gear because where the grass lands on my skin, I break out like massively. Yeah, I'm one of those pussies. It sucks. Shop out that way next summer, but not when prices don't get fixed. Dude, it's so bad. So stupid. But like I said, the stock price on lumber dropped for the first time in a long time, and housing industry stalled for the first time in a long time. So the prices should come down pretty soon. Yeah, please send me on my Discord. I would love to talk about it. Oh, it's definitely nicer for more than 4 months. Definitely nicer for more than 4 months. But yeah, so Teresa and I have been talking about getting a second house, you know, at some time in the future after I hit the lottery or something. But we like to sit around and dream about it. Maybe if I am able to divide this 10-acre parcel into 2 5-acre parcels and sell it to one of the developers around here, one of the 5s, then potentially use that money to get a house down south as well. She would like that. And, you know, as a husband, one of the suffer for your wife. And I hate Arizona, but not as much as California. So it could be worse. I'm gonna go now. I gotta go inside, take these fittings in. I gotta start making dough. Yeah, it's 3 o'clock. Dough's gotta rise for Tracy's home, so I gotta start making pizza dough. So I guess I need to plug the phone in and start doing that, huh? So if you care about the pizza stream, I'm gonna start that in a few minutes. Until then, have a good evening. It's 70 here today. It's fucking gorgeous. Yeah, absolutely, Travis, for sure. I mean, fuck 118. Ugh. But anyways, thanks again guys for the help. I'll talk to you guys in Discord. I'll see you again in my pizza stream. That's coming up. And I appreciate it a ton, guys. Thank you very much, and have a good day. Again, if you want to talk to me live and get better answers to shit, and get, you know, I can attach pictures and drawings and explanations and videos and articles and all that kind of stuff, join the Discord server. The link is on my website. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell. That's the first time I think I ever said that. I feel dirty already. Forget I said that. Can I rewind this video 30 seconds? Can we take that away? I don't know. Let me try this. Does this button work?